YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host TKK and we are back with another video. Guys, listen, I don't know how this video is going to turn out, but I want to just start by telling you thank you first and foremost for tuning in to this Monday. This is going to be a video content speaking about arcade content, right? And so what I'd like to do for the channel is I'd like to dedicate any uploads that I might post on Mondays to being about arcade stuff. Okay, we got that out of the way. What I tried to do was just think really hard about how I wanted to articulate myself with this particular subject. So last year, we're in the year of 2023 right now, depending on when you should see this, in the month of January. Last year, 2022, I acquired a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade 1-up machine. Did a review on it. I bought that with the intentions of just enjoying it and just adding it as just an art piece in my home. The price point of it wasn't a concern of mine or anything like that. So I got it. I made content on it. I'll card it in right there. You can definitely check it out if you haven't already seen it, because this is going to have arcade 1-up tags. So maybe people that have seen this have seen that. I'm not sure. But in any event, this video is in no way intended to bash the business that is arcade 1-up. But I just want to speak to you guys about my experience and why ultimately I decided to just get rid of the thing. We're going to do this right after this intro. All right, guys. So as I said, welcome back to the channel, man. Like I said, go ahead and subscribe, hit like, hit the notification bell, all of that jazz, so you can be tuned in when we talk about things like this more often, more frequent. Though I can tell you there's not going to be a lot of arcade 1-up content because I don't plan on ever buying another one of those machines. To present date right now, I own 2 arcade 1-up machines. My first was purchased for $100 at Walmart. It was the Street Fighter 2, like exactly the first machine that you can get that they had produced. And so at $100, it's like no big deal, right? We got the thing put together and it was just like, I was frustrated because I just expected more. I really did. And at the time, the company hadn't become what it is now. And again, this video, I'm going to edit this for sure because I want to make sure that I'm speaking responsibly in a way where I'm not like, it doesn't seem like I'm attacking the company, because I do think the company stands for a great many of things. And I think that they're going in the right direction. It's just that, for the type of person that I am, their products just don't align. So forgive my frustration. It's not intended to be an attack at arcade 1-up. Anyway, I just wanted to make that point clear. But I was frustrated with the Street Fighter machine because, the level of quality with sticks and sound and just everything was just all over the place. I immediately seen it as something that, needed to be purchased, and it needed to be just put in an area as like artwork. Similarly to how I do my arcade sticks, right? I have a lot of arcade sticks. I'll card some content in, maybe throw some stuff in, B-roll, I'm not sure. But I have a lot of arcade sticks, and you get to the point when you collect things like arcade sticks that you get so many that they become like literal furniture pieces or just kind of like whatnot items. And so beyond that, to me, that's all the arcade 1-up thing was. Great. I said, hey, this is for me. It's not for me. I'm not going to make content bashing them or anything like that. Though I do have 1, if not 2 videos on my channel, just kind of exercising my frustration. Now, keeping in mind, I'm an old school player of Street Fighter. I played in tournaments, I traveled. And so, it consumed a great deal of my life. And even my YouTube career before this particular run with YouTube was based around, playing fighting games competitively with other people. I have set floating around on the internet with DSP where I beat him 10-3, I think it was. And I fought literally hundreds of players. And during the 2009 era, listen, I helped to cultivate a culture of great players that went on to become champions. I digress. My point is that, with all that being said, in my background on Street Fighter, my expectations from that system was, hey, that it would be better than it was. And it wasn't. We moved past that. I later bought my second arcade 1-up machine, this time from a personal friend. And I knew exactly what to expect at this point. He wanted $300 for the Marvel vs. Capcom 1 system. Fine, no issues. Just because I knew him, and he's a collector of many things, and so he's got a room in his house. I'm not going to film any content or put it in or anything like that, but he's got a room in his house that's dedicated for him having like a mini arcade, and I think it's totally cool. It's You light them up, and if you're a content creator and you want them as a cool backdrop, I think that's really the end of like where they go. Beyond that, he had upgraded the sticks and the buttons to US stuff, and I was like, man, this is great. $300, cool, no problem. It had everything but the bar stool, excuse me. Everything but the bar stool was, into the deal. So for $300, I got the machine, I got upgraded sticks, upgraded buttons, and I got the riser too. Great. Picked it up. I still have it right now. In fact, it's across from me. You know what I mean? So from where I'm standing, I have this Street Fighter backdrop behind me. I have it standing in front of me in between two stands of arcade. So it's a nice furniture piece in what is currently, as of this recording, my man cave living room. And so it works fine in that regard. Like, I don't expect it to be more than that. It's something I turned on for a little bit just to mess around with. But, ultimately, I knew what to expect from it. I go to buy the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 machine, and I really don't understand what I was thinking. Now, in retrospect, I know how I'm shooting this video and how I'm gathering my thoughts and how I'll shoot this probably 10 times and then I'll forge everything in and just will make it one shot. Ultimately, I think that I was caught up in some hype, and, why, I'm not sure, because, for $600, essentially, I'm getting the same exact thing that what I have. Well, not really that. The trade-off is the system that I purchased for the Marvel vs. Capcom 1 we're comparing. I got better sticks, better buttons. I am, however, missing the Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is literally the only reason that you would buy this system if you've already bought the Marvel vs. Capcom 1. So I get them both. I get it put together, get the content created. And then I'm just sitting and I'm like, man, there's not often that this happens with me because I'm a very meticulous person, especially with like finances. I'll look at something a long time and be like, do I really want this? Do I really want this? And I pushed the envelope to buy it. And I looked at it and I said, you know what? This is just a bad investment. And it's not because I couldn't afford it. It was just like, yo, I'm not going to use it. And I don't really need to have both of them there. Now, keep it in mind, guys, at this point, TKK is an arcade collector. Hence, we have content we can produce. So I'm just going to talk to you about some of the different things that, I think you should be looking into as an alternative and why. All right. So again, I'm an arcade collector right now. As it stands, I own two big blue machines, right? Those have been featured on the channel to some degree. Later in the year, we're going to be, making content where I'm going to go through the motions of modifying and things of that sort. Number two, I actually own a Naomi system. What a Naomi is essentially, it is the arcade console that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was created for. So not only do I have legitimate hardware, but I actually own legitimate hardware. So hardware from the wood sticks, the monitor scope of things. And I also own like the legit console that this platform was created on. So immediately after I've owned this machine, this arcade 1-up Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet, I'm thinking to myself, and this is where the whole this isn't a good investment comes into play. I've got a pretty cool Marvel vs. Capcom 1 arcade 1-up machine. It works well. I don't have the riser on the Street Fighter 1 machine that I bought originally, but I'm like, okay, I can invest 60, 70, maybe $80 and get the black riser just to have it as a nice, a nice cool piece. Like, it looks good in the room. And so the Marvel Capcom 1 looks good in the room, but I've already got two big blue arcade machines and I have the legitimate arcade, mechanics that go into it for this specific game that I just bought this for. Why not take that $600? And this is literally what I did. Why not take that $600 and just invest it into me bettering my system, buying some casters and some other things, equipment to make what I have better. And that's literally what I decided to do, right? And so on the flip side of it, you may ask yourself, well, the online play, listen, that's one thing that kind of bummed me. And even though I wasn't really like over I was not like ready to do backflips and things of that sort, based on the fact that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Arcade 1-up had online play, it didn't work. It just like legitimately wasn't a feature set brought to it. Now, I'm not sure if that has changed, but it's even beyond that, right? When you factor in the beginning of this video, as I'm telling you, hopefully I use that part, I'm not sure, but I'm telling you that I used to play these games competitively. The level of competition that I feel like I'm looking for, and it's not to say in any way that Arcade 1-up players are not going to be good players. I know that they've got some, some good players like Justin Wong to like endorse the cabinet and so forth. But in my opinion, that's nothing more than just like a business transaction. Let me get a great player that is like the best player over the history of this game to endorse this particular cabinet, and we'll sell more units. And honestly, that's where it comes at. And that's where it really falls short. And that's where I feel like, I'm kind of rambling, but I feel like there was this misrepresentation of, what a person should expect. Because you get a person, and I'm older than Justin Wong. I've been playing games longer than he has. But when you get a person, like me, who would know who that person is, and you get me to buy into that, my expectations are going to be, okay, well, if this dude is playing on this and he's endorsing this, then this is going to probably have sound with buttons and stick out the gate. It's probably going to have, just a better quality overall. And it's just not there. And so, looking at all of these different things that I've just spoken on, I made the decision, the executive decision, the smart decision to just return it, right? Which I didn't feel bad about at all, because it was just like, I don't care how limited it is or how hard it might be to get that thing right now. It's literally not worth it. It's just not worth it, And if you've got like the funds and you're into collecting, then it's totally worth it. But from any other logical perspective that you can come left, right, up, down, or in between, I just could not justify having this specific cabinet in my lifestyle. Piggying back off of the mention of it having online play, there's so many other opportunities that you can go after, like quality, reputable online games, such as Fightcade, which is free. It's totally free. Like, look it up, find it, go get it. If you want to play that, if you want to play a slew of other games, they're accessible there at a decent network quality connection. You can play people in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now, this, of course, uses PC, but I mean, again, the stuff, the content is so old, you don't need to have like a dedicated gaming PC to be able to play. So I started looking at it even more, and I'm like, man, I was personally sold off the fact that, I wanted it for the cool factor, number one. Let me say that. Number one, the cool factor. But my expectations were, man, this is going to come, packaged really nice. It's going to have, better quality stuff. And outside of the lit marquee, I was just like, man, this thing really it's not that cool. And then I can't even play people online. Then there's still just the biggest issue that I personally have with arcade one-up machines, and they're just too small. They're too small. Like, that's the biggest takeaway. Now, again, none of this content is being produced and created to like bash the company. I think you need to inspect what you expect. I would personally support them if there was a transition to go like all pro with their cabinets. My understanding is that the pro machines are going to sit taller. They're going to be more sturdy. They are going to have better controls. They're going to have a slightly larger monitor. I think that's a step in the right direction. But outside of that, for the standard options that they have to offer that are anywhere in the range of $200-$300 to $600, I don't think it's worth it. Just the fact that you have to take the time to put them together, just to buy the game. It's just like, in my opinion, it's not just a really wise investment. For me, at least, right? I'm not really here to tell you what you should be doing, but I thought, I owed it to my YouTube community, because I did make a legit video reviewing that arcade one-up machine. I no longer have it. I got rid of that thing, and I had been intended to, put together some content speaking about it, but it took me some time. I wanted to speak because when I initially started making content, I was too passionate. I was legit like upset. And it was just because my own ignorance, like literally as the word is defined, I was ignorant into buying that machine. I thought other things that I did not know. And so I am making this video to try to help you in case you need to know. Going forward, I wouldn't buy an arcade one-up machine unless, it was a pro model. And it was in one way or another, like a last ditch effort, unless you were looking to create you an arcade simulation of some kind. Maybe you've got some extra space, like my friend who sold me the Marvel vs. Capcom 1 cabinet, and you want to create you or recreate you like an arcade area. My personal opinion would be try to invest into the real deal. It's going to be more time consuming. Equipment is going to be much more heavy. It's going to be a lot harder to get involved with, but it'll be the real deal stuff. Trust me. So I want you guys to make sure that you're following my journey. in this arcade content, because the Big Blue machines, as well as the one Shulix and the Vulix that I'm planning on getting this year, will be, coming back to the channel. Like I said, we're going to be trying to target every Monday as an upload for arcade content. Let me know if you have any comments down in the comment section. If you have an opinion about the video, do that. Also, if you liked it, thumb up. If it helps you maybe to make a decision, it doesn't matter when you see it, let me know. And I would definitely appreciate it if you could subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next video. Peace, God bless. And as always say, Max love.